Hello and welcome everybody. You are with your host Anubha live on IndiaLive TV.com .tv and all those people who are joining me. It is a wonderful, beautiful day to start and talk about something very interesting. Ek Cup Chai with Anubha. I have this beautiful lined up guest with me. First, I would, welcome them, Dr. Radhakrishnan, who is a board-certified pediatrician in Ewing, New Jersey. Hello and welcome. And I'm sure you'll enjoy this session of talking about the medical side of COVID and kids. That's what our topic is. He's been an executive committee member of NJ chapter of American Academy of Pediatrician and has been active as a panelist in the statewide conversation on COVID-19. Then I would love to welcome Preeti Dixit. She is a co-founder and a president of LeaderKid Academy, a non-profit organization, and she is involved in mentoring leadership, social and emotional, and future skill development for kids. Then I would love to invite Lisa, who is a high school student in South Brunswick, New Jersey. Hello and welcome all those people who are joining me as well as my guest. And शुरुआत करेंगे हमारे सबसे important चीज से is one idea which is actually striking my mind right now. It's called Vasudeva Kutumbakam, that we are all living in this whole world as a family. And I'm sure people are watching, viewers are watching from India, from US, from all different parts of the world. And we all want to talk about something which is affecting not only us as adults, but also our future generation kids, and how it is affecting us and what we can do about it. So my first guest, I would like to welcome Dr. Radhakrishnan. Dr. Radhakrishnan, I would first ask you one really question, which is actually always in my mind about how doctors are so different and the medical, the first responders who go every day to the hospital in this situation, the situation which is going like a war front. So how do you guys prepare yourself for the day? It's just my thought about this.
This is a very interesting question because we had conversations about this over the last few days at the emergency room too. Yeah. I was trying to see how the nurses were coping with this. Are they anxious? How do they deal with this? Because they have a family, they're coming from a family, they have to go back to the family. They have to think about the people who are at home. They have to think about themselves. They have to think about their patients too. And I say, no, how do you deal with this every day? And it's very interesting because, they say when they come in, their job is their primary duty. When they come in, that's all they're thinking about is how to take care of that patient. Right. They can't be burdened with the other stuff that's going around the house, going on outside, because if they do, then they're going to get distracted. Mm-hmm. So, most of us, I think when we go in with that feeling at that point that, okay, this is our job. We're going to take care of these patients. They're our family at that point. Mm-hmm. And we deal with it the best that we can. We bring our A game to this place. And the most important thing is to make sure that we're concentrating on what we're doing and doing it to the best of our abilities.
Yeah, that's great, because I always had that in my mind that, we are going to grocery store, we are so scared. And for the people who are going every day to the place where they know that they are, people who are affected by COVID-19. So my first question related to the medical science and to the kids is what is the impact on the kids, because we were initially learning that it's only affecting seniors or people with having some underlying issues and all that, but now it's become a widespread thing. So how is it impacting on kids, and what does it affect, and if it does, what are the effects of the COVID-19 on the kids? Dr. Radhakrishnan.
Okay. So when we're starting, I want to make sure that everybody understands that nobody knows all the answers. What is true in this minute, almost every single day. We wake up in the morning and find that something else happened in Europe or something else happened in Japan, and they found something else that's relevant. So that's what's been happening with children in COVID over the last few weeks now. When we started, we thought that COVID only affected adults, it only affected the elderly. The children were kind of immune to it. And for some reason, they didn't get that sick. And when they became COVID positive, they still didn't get sick. And we also thought they didn't transmit that disease to anybody else also. So that's why, like in some parts of Europe, they were saying kids can go and hug their grandparents, and that's fine. But over the last few days now, we've found one that we have known for many 30 years, 35 years, and it's called Kawasaki disease. And that's an inflammatory condition in children with something we call vasculitis, which means inflammation of the blood vessels. And the thing that we are concerned most about in children is this has cardiac side effects on children. Okay. So not only does it affect their bodies, they get rashes, they get a fever, they get a headache, they feel tired.
I think there's some issue about the streaming, but hopefully we'll get Dr. Rad back again. So whenever you can see Dr. Rad, my question to you is, I'm sure the underlying issues which you're talking about, inflammatory issues which comes up, and there are people who are getting rashes, headache. So what should be the parents watching for, and what should they do when they have concerns like this? If they see some symptoms, what kind of symptoms they should see? I think I'm missing doctor. So let's move on. Once I get him back again, I'll invite my second guest, which is Preeti. She's a co-founder and a president of LeaderKid Academy, a non-profit organization which is dedicated in mentoring and leadership and social emotional aspect, future skills. So Preeti, how is everything going on, and how would you help kids at this point of time? Because I know it's not only the medical part of it, but it's also how living in this situation, like a bubble situation where the kids are like birds. They like to move out, they like to go interact with people. So what do you think should be the first thing which comes in mind as a parent for the kid?
Sure. First of all, thank you, Anubha, for having this conversation. I'm really happy to be here and share my thoughts on how the situation is impacting families.
Right.
And, families are never going to have a better opportunity to bond. Let's put it that way. And more than ever, this is the time when parents, they really need to be an effective role models for their kids. Parents have always been the first teachers in children's lives. But now that we are together 24/7, we have been forced into the situation for a prolonged period of time, more than ever, the right kind of information. So it is so important for parents to realize that their children are watching them, how their parents are dealing with this quarantine, how parents are dealing with this COVID situation.
Right.
And it will be different at different age levels. When we are talking about children, we cannot have one blanket statement for everyone.
Right.
The toddlers or the preschoolers, they are going to have a different need from their parents.
So from here, I will take a little short break because it's a great detail, and we'll move on. So you guys are live on IndiaLife television. So we'll take a short break and come back. Hi, welcome friends. You are live on IndiaLife TV, and this is your host Anubha, and I really very happy to have all my guests back again. I have Dr. Rad with me, Dr. Radhakrishnan. I have Preeti Dixit, and I have Lisa, who is a high schooler, and I'm sure she'll be sharing her part of story also. So we were in between the conversation about how now we are seeing even the kids are affected by COVID-19. So I would again welcome Dr. Krishnan, and I call him Dr. Rad. So Dr. Rad, I definitely want to know from you, as you said that we need to the parents should be watchful of how the kids can also get this, and what are the different symptoms which we should watch for.
Okay, so like I was saying, there's something called Kawasaki disease. We've known about this for 35 years or so. We get kids with this disease every year, but the recent onset of the symptoms post-COVID is what we're worried about. So the question is whether COVID is making this more prevalent, and the inflammation of COVID may be in some way causing this to flare up in children. So the thing to watch for basically is a fever that lasts more than 5 days, redness of the eyes, red lips with a red throat. Sometimes it's just a sore throat, a rash developing all over the body, swelling of the hands and feet. And then we do lab tests also to confirm this. But like I was saying, I don't know if you guys heard this, but the most important thing that we're worried about is that there's a complication in Kawasaki disease that we are all very concerned about, and that is cardiac complications. Children can develop what we call coronary aneurysm secondary to this. We have treatments for this. We've been adequately been able to treat children and prevent the complications in them. So it's very important that if you get a child who has been exposed to COVID, and even if you don't know that they have COVID or don't have COVID, we don't know that. Even in that sense, if you get a child who has a fever for 4 or 5 days, starting to develop a rash, that's the time to pick up the phone and call your pediatrician and start talking to them about this. Okay. Most pediatricians are aware of this condition, and we've had information that came out both from the state, from the American Academy of Pediatrics, and from CDC about this, and we're all looking for these cases, and hopefully we will come to some sort of a conclusion whether COVID is seriously associated with this or it just happens to be at the same time. We're not sure of that, but we do know this is a very serious condition that we need to be on the lookout for in children.
Okay. So my other questions and concern would be about the pregnant women, right? Because it's not only the kids, but also the pregnant women who might be delivering kids. How is the hospital dealing with newborns and the kids?
Okay. So when we started, we really didn't have much of an idea about what to do with pregnant women, because we didn't know how much it was affecting them, and they can get really sick from this, or they may not get sick at all. Most hospitals have got around to the point where every pregnant woman coming for delivery is being tested now for the COVID-19. The importance for this is when the babies are born, we don't have definite conclusive evidence to say that there is something called a vertical transmission, which means that if the mother has COVID-19, that it's automatically being transmitted to the baby. We have had a couple of cases that have been written up where the babies are born and the babies are tested and they're positive. But generally, and a majority of children are not getting sick. The babies are not getting sick from this. So what is being recommended is when the babies are delivered, the moms are talked to, and the instructions are basically to avoid having direct contact with the baby. The moms can still breastfeed, but they'll pump and feed from a bottle. We're recommending that the children, even if they stay in the same room or at least 6 feet away from the mom at any point, not to have too many visitors coming in. We know that most hospitals have stopped visitation to, in any of the units at all. But the most important thing is that if at all possible, if the mom is really sick, then it is to basically isolate the baby, not even have the baby in that same room, to treat the mom appropriately and make sure that the baby is cared for as a quarantine person would be. And when we send them home, if the mom is sick, our advice is to have another caretaker available who can feed the baby and who can take care of the baby till the mom feels better.
So as long as the mom and the kid are in the hospital and you know all the situation, you give the guidelines accordingly, right?
Correct.
Okay. So my other question would be about the kids who are ready to go to school, and there's there are chances that we'll have openings in New Jersey also, but everybody's worried. The parents are being a parent. You think that your kids are going to be in the school, and it's very hard to isolate them when even if you are maintaining social distancing, how that is going to be affecting. What should be the new norm for them when they are preparing themselves for going to school, even the kids and the parents?
So that is the $1,000,000 question.
Yeah.
And like I said when I started, no one person has all the answers. We don't have all the answers yet. Okay, we do know that it's not safe to go back to school right now, which is why most states have closed down schools and said that we really don't want to send the kids home to school right now. We want to do the distance learning, we want to do the virtual learning, and that's what we're doing. There will come a time, we don't know if that's going to be September 1st or whether it's going to be January 1st, but there will come a time when we have to reopen these schools and we have to let the kids back in.
Right.
At that point, all we can at this point surmise is that we will need to keep some of this social distancing going. We will need to have some kids at least wearing the mask. We will have to have a lot more testing than we have available right now, so that at least we can tell the other parents who are sending their kids who are not sick, tell them that, okay, we think that the school environment at this point is safe. We've got to worry about the safety of the teachers, the safety of the school nurses, administrators, people who are there. How about school sports? What's going to happen in New
That's
Jersey?
a big question actually in everybody's mind. The kids who play sports, how it's going to be going forward, about that sports, about different clubs. So that's definitely in mind, and I'm sure people are thinking. There are some online clubs, but once the school reopen, it's definitely a big question about sports. So what do you think it should be? What steps should we take in that case?
So I think as it is with the national, professional sports, you're saying that they're all shut down. The same thing with school sports. We're all shut down at this point.
Right.
In New Jersey, we are lucky that we have an association of school educators, of pediatricians, of sports physicians, and of the PE teachers who are all sitting together and making decisions about sports. The last time we had to make a big decision was on the concussion front. What did we do? We came up with forms, we came up with assessments, we came up with evaluations, we gave instructions on when the kids can return. This is not only for the school sports. Remember, it's after school sports too. Every weekend, kids are on the field playing soccer. They're playing football. They're playing basketball. This is going to affect all of this.
Yeah, we'll be talking more about that. We'll take a little short break, and everybody, you are live on India Live Television. We'll be back. Welcome back. You are with Anubha, your host, and I am back with my guest, and you are live on India Television. So we had a lot of questions going on. We covered how it is now important for us to think when we are going back to school, how to even put mask, and social distancing will be still continuing couple of months, or maybe by next year also. So my question to Dr. Rad is, a lot of people are actually talking about the telemed or the telehealth. So I just wanted to know about how you are managing that, the telemed, and how when it is appropriate to go on telemed, and what kind of help it is doing for the parents.
Okay, so telehealth it's not a new thing. We've been using telehealth in psychiatry for many, many, many years now. It's one of the mainstays of stroke care when patients are first coming into the emergency room. Telehealth is also used a lot in education. And it's also used in consultations in rural areas where there are not specialists available all the time.
Right.
It has just become very popular in pediatrics because we were kind of hesitant to take it on as a very ongoing field to start with. But with COVID, it's been thrust upon us. So we've, I think, adapted to this very quickly and very nicely with pediatricians taking this on. This is a great way to have a conversation with a parent, with a family, no matter what it is. Sometimes it's just a rash. and that obviously we can see very well on telehealth. Right. Sometimes it's a wound, and maybe we can tell the parent, okay, this one really needs stitches, or maybe it doesn't need stitches. You can just provide first aid, put a Band-Aid on, and we'll be okay. Or maybe there's something that really needs to be seen immediately. Maybe a child has an injury and it looks like a broken bone, and you can't make a determination without an X-ray. Correct. That one's going to need a face-to-face encounter. So that's very important. But I think this telehealth has come around to a point now where it's a great boon for families. It's a great boon for the pediatricians. We can continue the conversation. The pediatrician is somebody that you have trusted because you've got that relationship now with them. Yeah, and that's the person you want to be able to talk to. And because they're available and you can see them face to face and they can see you, I think that carries a lot of weight. And it's something that I think we hope will continue past this COVID time, to a point where we're able to have this conversation with parents and actually have a face-to-face with them.
Yeah. So I'm sure there are a lot of immunization practice which might change in future. Do you think there will be a big change in the immunization, or it's going to be same? And is there any issues coming because of people hesitant about going to doctor? I think somebody's phone is ringing. I request please switch off your phones because we want the conversation to go on. Yeah.
Okay. So immunizations. This is something that is really a pet peeve of mine and for most pediatricians. Right. We are very concerned that children should not lag behind on immunizations, because the last thing we want is an outbreak of another disease such as measles coming on top of what we already have. Now, those are diseases we can prevent with immunizations, so we want to make sure that all children are up to date with their immunizations. Even during this phase where, patients were very anxious, parents are very anxious to bring the children into the doctor's office, we are encouraging them to come in at least for their primary series immunizations so we can protect the children from getting these preventable illnesses. And that's very, very, very important.
So how do you sorry, I'm just kind of interrupting. So I'm sure people might be knowing that initially they're like a place where you have sick patients and then you have well patients. Is there any discrimination you guys are doing just in case to protect the kid if they are coming for immunization?
Yeah, I think most pediatricians have gotten on board with where, unless you have a huge location and you can actually make it into two different locations, the better thing to do is a schedule. What we are doing, at least in my office, is we'll bring the well children in the morning and we will then bring the sick ones in the afternoon. Between these two schedules, we clean out all the rooms. We have a UV disinfectant for the rooms that we're using in every room before they come in. We try to switch out staff so they are not always exposed to always sick or always well visits. Same thing with the providers, and we're providing the personal protective equipment as much as possible. So these are very important things, and these are the questions that we have to deal with every day in the office setting, and bringing the children in.
So I have Preeti and Lisa with me. If you have any questions with Dr. Radhakrishnan and Dr. Rad, he's right now with me. Preeti would like to ask something from because it's an open conversation. It's Ek Cup Chai with Anubha, so I want to make it more informal so we all can talk. So Preeti, if you want to go ahead and ask, or Lisa, whatever, whosoever wants to go first.
Well, at this point, I do want to take this opportunity to say thank you to Dr. Radhakrishnan, to all the other doctors and frontliners who've been really working hard and making sure that we stay healthy, we get the right kind of information. So I do want to thank you and thank all the doctors and frontliners there. The session is very informative, and I am learning so much more about what the doctors are doing, and feeling more comfortable about taking my child if I have to take my child to the doctor's office. So at this point, I do not have any questions, but thank you so much.
No, that's really nice. And Lisa, you want to ask a question from doctor about anything you have in your mind?
I just have one question about when do you think that we'll be able to normalize going out again, and 'cause I know the quarantine has been going on for a while now, so I was just wondering what do you think is going to be the end date of when we can go back and normalize hanging out with other people?
He's all bored in the house now.
Well, you have to realize the end point. We don't know a time of it. We know what it should be. The end point should be the availability of either a vaccine where we can prevent the spread of this virus, or the virus dies off by itself, or we find a treatment for it. These are the three endpoints that we're looking at. Now, we know, at least we're assuming that this virus is not going to die off this year by itself. Okay, that's the thought of all the scientists. There are a number of medications that are being tried. Fortunately, we have one called remdesivir that's being used in a hospital setting only for really, really sick patients, and we believe that that's working pretty well. We don't have a medicine yet that we can give you to take by mouth and say, okay, you can stay home with this, and it's going to work for you. But that's something we're looking forward to. But I think the one that we might be able to get closest to is the vaccine. And if it works out, and we have over 100 vaccines that are right now being produced, or being tested. The human testing is occurring in about 8 of those, from what I understand, and one of them has gotten into what we call a phase 2, which is great. So if any of these pan out, and according to these pharma companies, they say they should be available by the end of the year, well, that would be a timeline that we should look forward to, and that's not too far in the future.
That's nice. That's good. Lisa, I hope you are happy with that answer, right?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. So let's move on to our next guest, Preeti Dixit. And I would definitely, before going on to Preeti Dixit, we'll take a short break, and then we'll be coming back with more information on the younger kids and how parents are dealing with this whole situation, where they are actually being a teacher, being a working mom and a cook, and doing everything at home. So we'll be talking about more into all that, and we'll take a short break. Guys, you are live with IndiaLife TV, so please stay connected. We'll be back with more and more. So stay tuned. We'll take a chota sa nikka sa break, and we'll be back. Hello and welcome back. You are live with your host Anubha, and you are live on IndiaLife Television. And this is the time when we are talking about what's going on in the house. And it's I'm sure it's sometimes very crazy, and sometimes you are able to handle things very easily, and all that and more with our guest Preeti Dixit, who is a co-founder and president of LeaderKid Academy, and she has a degree in psychology, and she has led organization in strategic leadership roles. And she's a coach, a mentor, a trainer. I would say it's amazing to have you, Preeti, here with me, and a good friend of mine. So welcome, and lots and lots of things and questions right now from my side. And I'm sure if Lisa wants to pitch in, if a doctor wants to say something, what do you think is the role of a parent, a caregiver, and a guardian in COVID-19 pandemic?
Well, Anubha, as we were talking earlier, I think we started talking about the role of parents.
Yes.
More than ever, parents have to be a good role model to their children. They always have to be. But then since we are together 24/7, we are forced into this kind of situation. It is so important that, if we are expecting a certain behavior from our children, that we as parents, we also behave in the same manner. We have to be the anchor, the support for our children. And yes, the need for the children is going to be different based on, their age levels.
Mm-hmm.
We may think that the toddlers or the preschoolers, they do not understand what is happening around, but they do observe their parents.
Right.
So they are watching you, and they get a sense of comfort and security from the parents. They can sense, if the parents are feeling anxious about it. So depending on the age levels, we have to adjust how we need to behave, what we need to share with our children. If they are school kids, we know that they're getting some information from the school. Yes. We know that they are going online. They are having a lot of screen time these days, which is okay. With the way we are in uncharted waters, we do not have a lot of options with us. Mm-hmm. So they are going online. They are getting the information. So as parents, it is very important that we guide them and direct them to the right sources of information. Yes. And we can direct them to whether it's the CDC or the WHO. They will go in. They will browse on their own information about COVID or about anything else for that matter. So as parents, it is very important that we channel their energy in the right way. We guide them to the right source of information. And since Lisa is here with us, who's a teenager. I know it's a very different need for teenagers, especially at this time. So we really need to adjust. The teenagers, they either can completely shut down, or they can share what they are feeling.
I see Lisa smiling at this. Is like, okay, I'm getting all the inputs about my behavior right now. Okay.
Exactly. So for preteens and for teenagers, they are adults on their own. We cannot be forcing how we want them to behave or what we want them to do at a certain time. Right. They know they are responsible. We have to give them some kind of freedom. We have to let them be. We have to be flexible and adjust and let them talk to you. Or you approach the conversations. Let them talk to you. And one size doesn't fit everybody. So every single family is different. So we need to make sure that, we know our children well. We need to make sure and understand what works well for another family is not necessarily going to work well for our family.
Yeah, even between the two kids, like if you have the siblings are different, the way of, taking anything, your behavior aspect is very different from each other. So you might, for one child might be very open talking about it, the other child might not even talk about it. So it's basically you have to judge and see how to go about it.
Absolutely.
Now let's talk about some structure. I know we are all sitting in our own comfort of home and doing this, which is very unusual, doing a TV show, and I'm sure everybody is doing their best to be wherever they are. So I do radio, and I know it is not easy, right now to not get into the negative stories and the news which is coming up. So I'm sure it affects our mental state. And once you're presenting, like as I said, doctor, he's going every day to the workplace, and what mindset we need. So that mindset definitely makes the home function. So what kind of mindset, we should have to ensure that everything is functioning right? I'm sure not every day is same. One day would be beautiful, you managed everything. The other day it might be different. So, but what should be the home structure at this point of time to make the things function efficiently?
Well, that's an excellent question, Anubha. And again, I'm not an expert on developing structure for every family, yeah. But I do understand that especially for younger children, it is so important that we stay consistent, that our structure is predictable, because younger children, they thrive with structure. So we have to make sure that we plan a schedule for them, especially if it's a school day. You need to make sure that you engage with them, involve them. Don't just make a structure for them that this is what you're going to do, this is the time that you're going to do. Right. You have to engage them to develop a structure that works well with your child. Right. So set up a routine. If they want to do
especially this time, Preeti, I know we are more relaxed. Late उठते हैं, फिर उठने के बाद हमें लगता है चाय पी रहे हैं, टाइम देखते हैं, अरे यार टाइम हो गया, we have to join our work, wherever my work is different, everybody's work is different. So the kids have to go online, check their homework and all that. So that is a very good point said, that you have to make some kind of structure, and then everybody should follow that. So with the younger kids, as you said, because they depend on you, you are the one who is actually going to help them follow the whole, the timetable. So that is very important. So that's a very good point, I think. And for the teenagers, Lisa, I would like to ask you, how do you manage your online studies, and what is your way? Is it something different, or is it something which is going regularly the way you used to do during the school days?
So the way that my school works, personally, I go to South Brunswick High School. So the way my school works is we get assigned work. So the morning they assign like assignments on Google Classroom or any platform like that, and then you have to finish all the assignments for the classes that you have that day by 11:59. So generally, because we don't have like a structured school system right now, what I do is I like wake up a little bit later than normal, and then like I kind of like eat breakfast and like have coffee and stuff like that, and then I try to get my work done and like spread it out throughout the day. And I feel like a lot of the time it's like sitting in front of a computer for like a long time is kind of frustrating because like your eyes start hurting and you get like, oh, I don't want to sit here anymore, and you just don't want to like do that. So I like spreading it out throughout the day. That's just like personally I like doing that. So I feel like trying to like spread out your work so you have something to do at certain times, and also like not like overwhelm yourself by doing everything in the same moment. That's how I've been handling it personally. So.
That's a good way to handle. That's really good way to spread your work and make sure this work is done. That's most important thing. Is at the end you should be happy with what you did, right? So that's more of being structured. Everybody's structure would be different. I'm sure, doctor, you have a different structure of your shifts must be different, right? It's not like how we work, right?
So there are a couple of things that these are very interesting conversations going on, but it's very important to remember that the anxiety of the parents rubs off on the kids. So make sure that you are calm and collected, and like Preeti said, you got to be consistent in what you're telling them every day, and don't let your anxiety rub off on this. And it was very interesting, but Lisa made this point about how she's waking up later now. And this is something that from the American Academy of Pediatrics, we are right now talking with the state and with all the school boards and trying to get this. Right now in New Jersey, a couple of school districts are piloting this. We're trying to get the school timings changed so that no school starts before 8:30 in the morning, because we know that all adolescents, basically when they have an extra hour of sleep in the morning, they are that much more productive in school. And this is not just anecdotal. There have been studies time and again, and they're all showing that, by giving them that extra hour of sleep in the morning, it makes a lot of difference in their productivity.
Right. So with that, we'll be taking another short break, and I'll be coming back. Now we'll be talking about what skills we can teach our kids, and especially this time when we are at home, we have a lot of time, we have a lot of family time working with each other. What we can teach our kids, the life skills, which Lisa would also pitch in, and then main question is from Preeti about all this, and she'll be helping us with following all ways of making this whole time more productive. So we'll talk about that. We'll take a short break. I'll be back. आप सभी बिल्कुल अनुभा के साथ हैं, इंडिया लाइव टीवी के साथ. प्लीज हमारे साथ बने रहिए. हम हाजिर होंगे छोटे से ब्रेक के बाद. You are with your host Anubha, and we have guest Preeti with us, Lisa with us, and Dr. Radhakrishnan. And we were in conversation with Preeti about what some skills and values we need to help kids learn during this time, because we've got a lot of time in hand, though it feels like that. Sometimes it feels we have not that much time because we are overwhelmed with our work and other things going on, especially with the parents. But I'm sure this is the time when we are spending more time with our kids, more family time together. Preeti.
Absolutely. No, thank you for that question, Anubha. It's an excellent question. At this time, there's so many skills, and there are so many social emotional skills that we can continue to work on. And I think the first skill that comes in my mind is developing a sense of gratitude. With what is happening, it is so very important that we have a sense of appreciation. There's so many people who are working together to make lives a little bit normal for us.
Right.
And there are so many different ways that we can show gratitude. It could be, just to give you an example, in our community, people are so active and they are doing their part, whether it's contributing financially or, involving the kids in making posters, making cards for the frontline workers, delivering food to the police officers, to the hospitals, to the clinics. So there's so many different ways, and share these positive stories with your children so that they can learn from these examples that, there's a way that you can show your gratitude, develop a sense of appreciation for what people are doing. And I think it's also so very important that, we all stay resilient. It is so important. It's such an important skill that kids can actually learn from us. Unfortunately, there are so many families that have lost income, that have lost jobs. And again, kids are looking at their parents. They're learning from their parents as to how they are dealing with this kind of unfortunate situation, how the parents are handling the anxiety and what they are doing. They're also learning from their teachers. When it was announced कि अब schools बंद होंगे, yes, for a moment, kids are happy कि चलो छुट्टियां हैं, they can sit at
whatever they want to do.
But then, they also got to see that teachers just bounced back within a short span of time. They were ready with the remote learning. That's an excellent example of resilience for me, that every day the teachers are coming up with newer ways so that kids can have fun while they're learning,
there's one teacher who's actually going to the yard and teaching. So she's sitting like in their garage or in their wherever comfortable place, away from the kid, but reading the stories for the kindergarten. So I think it's like everywhere. I saw one teacher who has actually made his kitchen into a chemistry room, which is interesting. So all these stories are coming up from different places. There's so many. Michelle Obama read one of the story books, so she becomes a storyteller for kids. So I think at every point of time, we all are bringing in that creativity where we can get engaged in more with the people, with the society, giving back to the society. As you said, gratitude is something very important to inculcate in kids. And I'm sure there are different ways. You can just feeling great that today you are healthy, you have shelter, you have home, you have food, and also, connecting with the people around you and asking them, are they okay? Because that's very important to know if everybody else around you are also fine. So Lisa, do you want to comment something on this, how the kids are doing something which is different, which you found different during this time?
So personally, the way that I've been handling it is by like trying to learn new skills around like my house maybe, or even like trying to do new things, or like sharpen my existing things that I was like trying to learn. So before, I was really involved in playing guitar, and I just wouldn't have as much time to play it. Yes. So now over the quarantine, I finally have like more time on my hands, so I can like get back into playing guitar. And I also really like cooking and baking, so I'm trying to like learn and experiment new things on that end too.
Right.
Like personally,
and how are you communicating with your friends? Is there a special way you've started communicating, like doing something different, or the same way as you used to communicate with them?
I feel like honestly we just like FaceTime and sometimes use Zoom calls, but recently we started doing this thing that's called Netflix Party. It's like an extension that you can download on your computer.
Interesting.
And yeah, so basically it's like you can watch movies together with your friends and have like a little chat on the side. So like I feel like that's a pretty fun way to like communicate and like have like a movie night on weekends with your friends and just like enjoy your time with them in some different way, which is pretty cool, I guess.
So yeah, that's all new ways. And Doctor, I would like to ask you how you guys relax, because it's a tough war zone for you guys. How do you guys relax during this time?
Well, it's like everybody else. The relaxation is cooking at home, or watching a movie, and just taking a walk outside. That's the best part of it. At least you can still do that and not have to be with other people at the same time. So walking is great exercise, and it's very relaxing.
Okay. So do you have to wear the mask at the time when you're stepping out of the house walking?
Well, if you're going to be going to a place where there are other people, absolutely. Okay. But if you're going to be by yourself, then obviously you don't need it.
Okay. That's interesting. So back to Preeti. So we were talking about resilience, and as you said, the teachers are resilient, and they just came back with going on online platform and doing all these online classes. What else do you think we can teach our kids?
Well, Anubha, another skill that comes to my mind is, collaboration, right? Even in the home setting, now that we are all thrown into the situation,
I know
we are on each other's nerves 24/7.
Yes.
It is so important that we help out each other because everybody is working, whether it's the parents who are doing their job, whether it's the kids who are homeschooling. It is so important that everybody find out different ways where they can work together and make it happen.
Right.
And along with that, whether you're setting up time that one kid does loads the dishwasher or does the laundry or helps out making the bed, whatever the chores may be, depending on your child, depending on the age, you decide on who's going to do what. And at the same time, I also feel respect for space. I think more than ever, it is so important because everybody is supposed to do certain things during the day.
We're nesting together actually, so we need to give space to each other. That's
absolutely. So, but at the same time, I do want to point out here that we are talking about role modeling, right? So we are also talking about if parents do not want to be disturbed while they're in their meetings or they're working, they don't want their kids running and disturbing them. We as parents need to do the same when our kids are getting homeschooled. When they
I can see a big smile on Lisa's face. She's like, "Oh wow, yeah, that's a good idea. You want the parents not to disturb." And I think teenagers are good at that. They close the door and they try to be
true. That's so true. But then, what? I've also heard in so many places, not so much here, but I talk to my family in India and they are remote schooling as well, right? So many times you hear stories where the kids are in a Zoom call or not a Zoom call or a team, whatever platform they're using, and the parents are coming from the back. Okay, आप क्या खाओगे? आप ठंडा दूध लोगे? गर्म दूध लोगे? अब तो टीचर है, चलो, आप बताइए मेरा बच्चा कैसे कर रहा है?
Oh my God! Oh, right away on the spot.
Exactly. So again, the point being, respect for space. If we want our kids to respect our space when we are working, we need to make sure when the kids are remote learning, we do not need to disturb them unless they need your help. Of course, we need to be around them. We need to teach by example, the respect for space. That is important. And I think everybody's so anxious these days, right? So we often hear about mindfulness. And I do also want to point out here that a lot of people, they have this notion about mindfulness, that mindfulness is about
I had it let me tell you, when I started first time when I started doing meditation, which was very unusual for me. I thought it's not meant for me. It's meant for the people who are very yogi kind of people, who are like looking for something out of this world, and I'm very much into world and worldly pleasures and everything. I'm like, no, it's not meant for me. So one of my yoga teachers, she invited me for a walking meditation. And then I could understand the meditation is totally a different concept. And it's not that you have to be in certain place, in certain mood, that you have to be like quiet and all. And then I got that meditation or mindfulness is something much more, which Preeti, you will be explaining, I'm sure. But that was and I'm sure when you're saying that people are really misunderstood the concept of mindfulness, and I'm sure you'll elaborate on that. So please go ahead and elaborate. But that was my thought, and it actually completely changed with one meditation class.
Right. Yeah. So as you rightly said, yes, meditation is a part of mindfulness. We could say that. Yeah. But being mindful is just being present being present in the moment. To feel what you're feeling, to be aware of your surroundings, just the five senses, right? We teach our children about the five senses that we have. So mindfulness is just being aware of all those senses. It doesn't need to be practiced with special props or in a special location. Right. It could be just sitting, maybe if you have a backyard, just sit in the backyard and just listen to the birds, or just feel the air, or if you're eating your food, it could be just tasting the flavors in your food. Yeah. It's being present. So mindfulness is so important. You can sit down with your kids, have a dedicated maybe 5 minutes in a day. In your waking hours, maybe dedicate 5 minutes, especially with the younger kids.
Yeah.
Sit down with them and just focus on just deep breathing. It is as simple as that. Just put on some soft music, deep breathing, or just sit and reflect on how the day has been. Yeah. Right? What is something new that they learned? What is something that they did not like? Mm-hmm. Just being aware of how they're feeling, how you're feeling. Just share, just talk. And that's what being mindful is all about.
And expressing, as you said, expressing how you're feeling, because it's very important to put words into your feeling. Like if you're feeling sad, why you're feeling sad because you're lonely, you're feeling sad because you're missing on something, you're feeling sad because you were not able to do something. It's very important to actually write it in a way that you understand why you are feeling in certain way, right? That's what I feel. And as you said, an exercise of 5 minutes writing down for younger kids, like if they're eating food, they can say, how is it smelling? And what kind of smell, what kind of taste you're getting, what kind of a game that, what is going in your food? Can you just name the ingredients? That would be being mindful. And I think being mindful is being present. That's what, Doctor, you would like to say something on this, conversation which is going on right now?
No, this is your realm. It's very important.
Yeah.
It's important, and it does affect like I said, we were talking about anxiety and the feelings that parents have, and it's very important that you take care of it because the kids pick up on this very quickly.
Yeah, that's great. And Lisa, you want to talk about mindfulness? Have you ever done anything like that before?
So personally, there's certain apps that you can download on your phone to kind of meditate or even just take a breather in the middle of the day. So there's one app that I use, it's called Headspace, and basically it just you can use it for different things. So if you want to just take a little 5-10 minutes of just calming down and relaxing or winding down before you go to sleep, I like doing that sometimes. I feel I've been doing it a lot more now that we're in quarantine, because it's I want to be a little bit more
clear your mind,
and not as anxious as you guys were mentioning.
Yeah.
I feel
we're not trying to make you anxious. We're just trying to discuss all. I hope you're getting some good points here. So so my point is to make parents more easy and relaxed, and just think about different things as we said about being resilient. So my example of being resilient is when I started doing my radio, I used to go in the studio, do my recordings, and come back. And I never thought about what's going on in production area and different areas of the whole show going on air. So once this whole thing happened, we had a discussion among our colleagues, and then I had to learn different skills to collaborate. As you said, Preeti, collaboration work there, and then learning a new skill of how to understand how my recordings are going, how I can use a software to do the recording from home at my own space, and be more mindful of what I'm doing. So I take my time. I use that time just when I'm mindful of that this is my radio time and I'm doing my show. So all the small things what you're mentioning, I use it in my life. And being resilient was not stopping broadcasting, but learning new ways of how to be on air and to entertain people. So I think that's a beautiful thought. With that, we'll be taking a short break. What do you say, guys? We'll take a short break, and if you guys are having your tea, you can always have your tea in between, because this is Ek Cup Chai with Anubha, and we are live on IndiaLife Television. We'll be going in a short break. वापस हम लौट कर आएंगे और हम बात करेंगे about what overwhelmed parents should do. So we'll talk about that. एक कप चाय विद अनुभा के साथ मैं हाजिर हूँ इंडिया लाइव टीवी के साथ एंड आप सभी अनुभा के साथ हैं एंड विद माय ब्यूटीफुल गेस्ट प्रीति एंड लीसा एंड डॉक्टर राधा कृष्णन एंड वी कॉल हिम डॉक्टर रैड सो बैक अगेन एंड मच मोर टू डिस्कस बहुत सारी बातें अभी भी बाकी है मेरे दोस्त सो we'll be talking about a lot of other stories and some stories coming from Lisa because I'm sure we are talking about COVID-19 and kids, so we want to highlight how kids are feeling right now. But my question before we left for a break was from Preeti. जब younger kids होते हैं तो हम ज़्यादा overwhelmed हो जाते हैं. छोटे बच्चे जब 3 साल के, 5 साल के, 6 साल के, they are not understanding कि क्यों हम बाहर नहीं जा सकते, क्यों हम अपने दोस्तों से बात नहीं कर सकते, क्यों हम घरों में बंद हैं. Or they don't understand this COVID-19 क्या चीज़ है. They're thinking that something is going on. And one of my friends, younger kid, because she's a pilot, so she travels a lot. So nowadays there's a ban on the travel, so she's relaxing with her kid. So she said, my son was so happy. She's in India. So she said, my son is so happy. She said, we are doing Diwali at the time of non-Diwali. So they were lighting candles and हम थाली बजा रहे हैं और बहुत सारी चीजें जो unusual कर रहे हैं. And the mom is at home. So he's so excited. मम्मा ऐसा COVID होता रहेगा तो कितना अच्छा रहेगा. You'll be never going away. So I think some kids are happy with this, obviously, because they are getting to see their parents more. But what about the parents, handling their younger kids? How should they handle Preeti?
Well, see, that's an excellent question. And I feel that, the key is creating a balance, right? Yeah. As parents, yes, we have our, our ideal scenario where we want our kids not to spend too much time on the screen and to do everything that we want them to do and to follow a routine, follow a structure. But as parents, I think, yes, we are overwhelmed. Yes, there's a lot of uncertainty outside. But I think we have to be not extremely harsh on ourselves as well. As long as, kids are doing what they are supposed to be doing and they have a long period of time where they have to finish certain things, whether it's from school, they will do it. Things will happen. But we need to be a little bit flexible. It's okay if the kids are getting a little bit more of screen time. It is all right. Okay. This time, reach out to your family, reach out to your friends. I'll give you an example for our family. We make it a point that we video call rather than just calling our friends just over the phone. As it is, we don't get to see them. We don't get to spend time with them. Yeah. So every weekend, a few families, we get together and we over a WebEx call and we all just have a good time for a few hours. Right. Even during the week time, we encourage our kids as well to call up their friends. They do that. We don't even have to tell them,
I know. Once they know that they have to
exactly.
Talk.
So do not be afraid to reach out if you're feeling.
But I know it's with the older kids it's okay, but with the younger kids, I'm sure the parents should look for play dates. They should plan because that's very important. They're sitting at home. They are not going out.
Absolutely.
So they need that. They need that liberty to know how to call their their friends and how to be on internet, how to visually interact with them and give them a space to talk to their friends, right?
Absolutely. Because kids are looking at their parents for support, right? They are their anchor at this time.
Right.
So especially for younger kids, it is so important to talk to them and find out who are they missing. If they are missing the teacher, send an email to the teacher and set up a video call. If they're missing a certain friend, get the information, the phone number for the friend and set up a video call. So you can make sure that they're still hanging out with their friends. Yes, it's not the same, but it's something, right? It's a virtual connection with them and we are going to be in this for a longer period of time.
Yeah.
So we need to make sure that we are reaching out to family and friends and kids. Especially the younger ones, as you rightly said, they do not have a sense of what is happening outside.
Right.
But instead of diminishing their feelings, just be accepting. And based on their age level, share the information that they need to know. Let them know, cultivate compassion, give them examples, and make them feel secure. That there are people, there are adults who are working, they're working hard to make things better. And very soon we'll be able to step out, invite people over,
right,
with our friends. So keep comforting, keep reassuring them that this is a phase, and we all have to do our part. We all have to do our part of staying inside and follow the guidelines that is required out of us.
Right. So now I come to Lisa, who is right now waiting for her own chance to talk, and she's been talking, but that's nice to have her. Lisa, it's important to know how this whole quarantine time, the routine has changed your life. So, what do you take from this? What is different you're doing? And initially, I'm sure things might have been different when the school was closed. Now it is different. How do you feel? How is the whole span of how many weeks? I think 4 or 5 weeks.
I'm not exactly sure, but I think yeah, that's around the same time.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I feel like everyone initially was like kind of excited because we were like, oh my god, a break from school for like a little bit, but we didn't really expect it to be like this long of a break. And now like everyone's getting kind of like, oh, I want to get back to be able to like go outside and talk to friends. And like yes, it's like a nice thing to be able to video call. Like we're in like a generation where we can do that, and like we can video call someone from like
I think we also do it, Lisa. we also do video.
No, I know. I'm just saying, like, we're fortunate enough to have that feature in our lives right now. So I feel like it's like one thing to video call people, but like after a while, especially if you've been talking to someone for a while, it gets kind of frustrating because you're like, what's new? Like, you can't do that much new, like, too many new things in like this environment, I guess.
Did you try something new during this time? Did you try something new skills, something which you learned, which you never did before?
And yeah, so I tried a few things. So personally, like in our house, we have a skateboard that my brother used to be really into. He used to like skateboarding before, but no one really touched it for years. So I decided that I wanted to learn how to skateboard. So every day I try to go outside and like practice a little bit so I can get better. And like right now I'm trying to learn how to do a few tricks on it so that I can like so I can try
be careful with the tricks. I'm sure the mom would be scared that you don't fall and end up in hospital right now, right?
Yeah.
Doctor, do you get some questions from the kids you see, in daily basis? If you see them, do they ask you some questions about what's going on? And
well, the point is that over the last 5 weeks, I guess, we've tried to only see babies that are under the age of 2, so they're really not talking, they're not asking me a lot of questions. And the older kids are really sick, so they're more concerned about that. But I guess it's on everybody's mind. When are we going back to school? When is school opening up? What is going to happen when school opens up? The parents are worried about the new normal. What are they going to be expecting to see after this happens? And the children basically want to go back to playing sports. They want to be outside. They want to talk to their friends.
Yeah.
How
safe it is for them to go out and go for a small walk or maybe bike? Is it safe enough for them to go out and do all that?
Yeah, as long as they're doing it by themselves or they're doing it with their parents, that should be fine. And I think we just reopened our parks in New Jersey over the last week. So again, keep your distance, no touching. Make sure you're washing your hands, cover your face with a mask as much as possible, and then go out and exercise. But do it, do something that you can do by yourself.
Isolated environment, And people might be listening to us and watching us from India. So I'm thinking that there's more lockdown there than what we have here. People are more, in their home, so they can always do exercising at home. So is there something, doctor, you tried something different? Some new skills you tried during this time? I know you might be busy with all what you're handling right now. Do you think of something different?
Yeah, really just.
Something like maybe cooking. You tried something new to cook.
Well, yeah, we're doing a lot of that. My wife and I, we do a lot of cooking, and so we watch the YouTube videos
from
some of the chefs in India, and we've been trying.
There's so many master classes right now going on, actually, which is interesting. So we have all those free master classes from all these chefs from Michelin stars chefs, which we can use and which is interesting. So there's
all my cousins and everybody's trying cooking now. So
interesting. So Preeti, did you tried something new during this time?
Well, same thing as Doctor said. I do enjoy cooking, but not that I get a lot of time. But I have tried some new dishes. I've baked a little bit. And every now and then I try and play piano. I mean, not that I know how to play piano. Back in school, I used to play harmonium. We learned to play harmonium in school, and piano, the keys are a little bit similar. So I put my hands on that. But yeah, that's pretty much what I think.
Yeah, sorry. I think everybody has to go and write lockdown diaries after we are released from all this, staying at home. Everybody's going to write something what they did and what they tried new. So that's why I'm asking this question. I'm putting everybody on spot. That's my work as an RJ or as an interviewer over the TV or on the radio. That's what I do. So yes. So yeah, you were saying something, Preeti.
Yeah. So I've taken this time, honestly, a time of reflection for me. It's been, we are all so busy in our lives, and we are multitasking at all times. We are juggling, wearing multiple hats. But the time that I have been, I've gotten at this point, and everybody else has too. I've taken this time as a period of reflection. I spent a lot of time thinking that. What is it that is going right? Whether it's in terms of whether it's relationship with your kids, relationship with friends, or what are the priorities in my life? Kind of realigning them and kind of thinking how I can make it better. We are, as I said, we are 24/7. We are indoors. We want to make it less stressful for everybody.
Right.
Every day is a learning experience for all of us. What works and what doesn't work. The key is to keep adjusting and being flexible in what we are doing.
Yeah.
So for me, it's been a time
asking yourself what is good at this point of time, what we can lose. We don't need those things in our life. We can just let it go. And what we need in our life right now, that's very important. That's a beautiful thought about reflection. I like that. So back to Lisa. How is the social distancing affecting your emotional state? Do you think it's affecting you in any ways?
I feel like it's for like my age group. I'm a junior in high school right now, especially because there's a lot of stress in like school coming on like this year, especially. Like you use your friends as kind of like a support system along with your family as well, right? And like obviously you're hanging out with your family like every day now, obviously because you're stuck with them in your house. But not being able to see your friend kind of like takes an emotional toll on you, because you feel kind of like, oh, I can video chat them, but I want to like see them and like maybe hang out with them sometimes. And like I remember it was one of my closest friends' birthday like in this past couple days, and I wanted to see her and I wanted to like hang out with her, and I had like these birthday plans for her planned before, but that couldn't really happen. So we tried to do like a different thing where I like baked a cake and I dropped it off at her house. So I feel like we're trying to like make up our own ways of like trying to like still stay connected and still like enjoy our time together, and like basically just like improvising like everyone else.
Yeah, that's interesting. That is interesting to know that there are various ways you can interact with your friends. You can I'm sure she felt really good about you dropping cake to her place, right? So all those. So we're learning a lot of things we can do while we are in quarantine. And also there is a beautiful poem which I will read after we go in a short break, which is about our children and how children are different. It's important to understand, because a lot of time, our aggression, or there's a part of us when we get really frustrated with our situation, we should not let them on our kids. As what doctor said, if you are stressful or if you are anxious, don't let it go towards your kids to, if you're rubbing them in a wrong way, they'll be, oh, my parents are upset, they're unhappy. So there's a beautiful poem which I'm going to be sharing with you guys, which is by Khalil Gibran, and a beautiful poem which talks about how children are different. They're not your extension, they are actually different from you. So treat them differently and treat them as a human being. It's a beautiful poem. I'll share that with you guys. And in between, we'll take a short break, and then we'll come back with more and more on this topic, and we'll talk to Lisa. So you are listening to us on IndiaLife Television. This is Anubha. Ek Cup Chai with Anubha. Hello and welcome back. You are with your host Anubha, A Cup Chai with Anubha, live on IndiaLife TV. And I have Preeti Dixit with me, Dr. Radhakrishnan, Lisa with me, who is a high schooler. And we were talking about kids and COVID and how it is affecting our lives. And we are talking about different aspects of how you can, change your life during this point of time when we know that we are indoors, how we can, get the feeling of gratitude, how to inculcate a lot of compassion for each other. We can always be resilient in whatever situation, learning new skills. That is one which we were discussing about. Now I'm going to be talking about, and also what is new in your life which you have never done in your life. So something we were talking to Lisa and to Dr. Radhakrishnan and to Preeti, and I was left. I'm doing a handstand, a handstand and a headstand. I'm trying that. So there's something new. I think life is giving us chance. I used to practice yoga a lot, but then because of my work and all, I wasn't getting that much time. So this time I'm actually focusing in that, which is not very easy. So I've made myself a determination of doing that, setting a goal. So that is something new and which is risky. Like Lisa said, she's trying new tricks on skateboard. It might be risky for me also trying that, but I'm doing that. So something new to try, and we can always jot down something for our lockdown diaries. That's something we did new. What else I did new was that I started recording from home for my radio Zindagi, which is interesting, and it's very different. Where I'm also doing the production work. Some part of the production work, which is interesting. So that is something new which I'm doing. And then we were talking about, how pandemic can change, like as Lisa said, about decision of, going which way, like college decision about what to do from now on. So Lisa, you have any plans? Did you? I'm sure you are a junior. You might be applying for different colleges. Do you think you're because of all what has happened, it's going to change your view about choosing your college?
I think personally, for my college decisions, it's not gonna change too much. But I know that a concern for a lot of like people my age is like they don't want to go to densely populated areas like New York City for college anymore because like New York City, as you know, is like one of the like most like affected areas. So a lot of people don't want to go to college there because there's like a higher chance of like people
Right. I can
getting
see a smile on Dr. Radhakrishnan. Yeah, he's smiling on this. Yep. Yeah. So yeah.
But yeah, so like personally, I don't think that's like too much like a big of a factor. But like I know that a lot of people are like thinking about reconsidering going to school in like New York or something like that because it's like such a densely populated place where you can get infected a lot easier.
Mhm. Yeah, that's true. But yeah, so I'm sure decisions might change because the parents might be concerned also. Preeti, you have anything to say about it? Like, choosing colleges would change for the parents and.
I think so. There will be a realignment of how parents and how juniors are going to look at the college process, because we all know that there are so many families or children that got stuck in a certain place. So when you're looking at colleges now, maybe that will be at the back of your mind that what if I go out of state and what if something
happens
were to happen, I'm going to be stuck away from my family. I don't know when I'm going to be with them.
Yeah.
So there's a whole lot of realigning.
That's the reason why I asked this question, because a lot of kids are stuck in places and they are not able to go back to their homes.
Exactly.
So this is something which would change the decision of parents also and for the kids also choosing colleges. So as I said, I'm going to be ending our show with this beautiful poem which is written by one of the poet and philosopher who is a Lebanese poet and philosopher. His name is Khalil Gibran. And I read it somewhere very beautifully, says that your children are not your children. They are the sons and daughters of life's longing for itself. They come through you, but not from you. And though they are with you, yet they don't belong to you. You may give them your love, but not your thoughts. For they have their own thoughts. You may have housed their bodies, but not their soul. For their soul dwell in the house of tomorrow, which you cannot visit, not even in your dreams. You may strive to be like them, but seek not to make them like you. For life goes not the backward or tarries with yesterday. You are the bow from which your children are living arrow has sent forth. The archer sees the mark upon the path of infinite, and he bends you with his might, and his arrow may go swift and far. Let your bending in the archer's hand be for gladness, for even as he loves the arrow that flies, so he loves also the bow that is stable. So it's a beautiful thought which tells you, thank you, which actually tells you that, the kids are might feel that they are your reflection, but they have their own mind. So let them use their own mind. Don't force them things. This is a tough time, when everybody is together. So you might feel frustrated at times, but let them give their own. Let them fly and let them learn the ways they want to learn. Teach them skills for life. Don't force them only into studies, but also life skills, which is important, as Preeti said. And also let them enjoy their life. This is very important. With that, I would thank all my guests right here, Dr. Radhakrishnan, Preeti Dixit, and Lisa for joining me. Ek Cup Chai with Anubha, live on live TV, IndiaLife TV. And I'm sure we will be having more and more entertaining programs here at IndiaLife TV. So please keep watching, keep listening to different episodes, and I'm sure you will enjoy that. With that, Anubha is signing off. Take good care of yourself. See you guys very soon. Take care.
Bye.
Stay to all
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Thank you.